Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Derita Matters, February 2023. I'm Teresa McDonald. I am a realtor with Allen Tate and a resident of Allen Hills and on the Derita Statesville Road Community Organization board. And can you all see my screen? I should have asked that.
Yes.
The Derita Business Association. Okay. Is that right? Not the raise grant. Yeah. I can't tell which one's sharing. So just running through these very quickly. The slides, you'll get them after the meeting, as will everybody on our list. Got the meeting dates for the rest of the year up there, and we are going gangbusters for our in-person meetings. The first one will be March 2nd. Next month, 7 p.m. at Derita Presbyterian. So please mark your calendars, and we hope to have some good guests to give us information and answer questions and so on. So mark your calendars for that. A quick summary of just the area that we try to cover. Downtown Derita is at Mallard Creek and Sugar Creek, and then the sort of natural boundaries of the broader Derita area is 77 in the west, 85 in the south, and then Harris Boulevard. I've got a link here to the Google map that I maintain, and I did a lot of updating to that, so check that out. It's the Google map, so you can explore it and check stuff out. I've got all the rezonings. Shouldn't say all. It's just me trying to keep that map updated, so check it out. I did do a lot of updating. Just basic information about the Derita area, which I pulled from the Quality of Life report, as well as our council districts, our county commission district, House district, Senate, Congress, all that, CMPD response areas. Just shows all the different parts that Derita falls into, which is a good and a bad thing, a blessing and a curse. More elected officials that we can lean on, and more elected officials to forget that we're in their district. So, all right, let's go to introductions real quick, and then I've got Monica and Aisha from the city are here to present some information about a federal grant that the city is pursuing, and we'll let them introduce at the end and present their slides. All right, I do have apologies from Jack Brosh and Sylvia Cannon. I will not be able to make it today. So I'm going to call on you and just introduce yourself real quick, where you, neighborhood, etc. All right, Nadine Henry.
Good morning, Nadine Henry. I'm in the Sugar Springs neighborhood. I run the neighborhood association. I'm also an event planner, and that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mel Renner.
Excuse me. Yes, I'm retired from the city of Charlotte as a procurement officer, long time past HOA president of the Forest Pond community, and I serve on the Derita Statesville community organization as a board member. There you go.
Thank you, Mel. Jeffrey Simpson.
Good morning, Jeffrey Simpson. I'm the president of the Farmington HOA. That's between Mallard Creek and Sugar Creek. I've been that way for a little bit, and always looking to join this meeting to obtain other points of view as well as information.
Wonderful, thank you. Hashim, Can you speak?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hey, I'm Hashim Halim. I run a makerspace called Derita Design, and I'm an architect, so happy to be here.
Thank you. Jill Campbell.
Hi, Jill Stevenson. Actually, I've not updated everything. I am the HOA president for General's Point off of Gibbon Road for 21 years now.
medals all round. Okay. David Oliver. I'm not sure if David can. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
there you are.
I'm just at work. I was gonna stop by for a moment. I gave Teresa some information to help y'all out, so I'll kind of listen in. From Oak Hill community, I'm president of Oak Hill.
Wonderful. Thank you, David. Jonathan Haig.
Jonathan Hoig, retired resident of Allen Hills for 30 years.
Welcome. Teresa Braswell. Teresa Braswell. I don't see a little microphone. Teresa is
It's connecting to auto.
okay. While we wait for Teresa, let's go to, I think, Ernest.
Hey, I'm Ernest Dyke. Grew up around here. I live off of Statesville Road, so I'm in Nevin community. And I guess I'm kind of the president of the Keith Drive Neighborhood Association now. So,
Awesome.
Previously on the board for Derita Statesville Road Community Organization.
Welcome, Ernest. And Teresa Braswell, are you able to introduce yourself?
She's still connecting to audio.
Okay, she might be having some trouble. So Teresa is the president of Forest Pond Community, which is right off of Nevin Road, about 300 homes, the HOA Forest Pond. All right, let's go without further ado to Monica and Aisha, and I will, I think I have to stop sharing and then you guys can take over and present your information on the RAISE federal grant.
Sure.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Monica Carney Holmes, and I am the executive manager for Corridors of Opportunity program for the city of Charlotte. And then Aisha can introduce herself.
And good morning, everyone. My name is Aisha Sabor. I serve as the community engagement manager for the Corridors of Opportunity program. So excited to be here with you all.
Yes, so thank you for squeezing us into your very packed agenda. I'm impressed with the amount of things that you all are covering. It's a lot of hard work. So good job. And we will try to keep it brief and as informative as possible. So before I start sharing my screen, you all might be aware that the Corridors of Opportunity program is the city's investment in 6 corridors throughout the city of Charlotte. We're about 2 years into the program. We have been really exponentially, I would say, ramping up the program over the past 6-9 months a year. I came on board in May. Aisha started, I think, end of July. And then there are 3 other staff members, really 3.5. We have another person half-time working on Corridors of Opportunity. So for those that don't know, the Sugar Creek corridor is considered part of the Corridors of Opportunity program, along with, just for information purposes, Beatty's Ford, Albemarle, North Tryon, North Graham. So you kind of hit almost 2 corridors, West Boulevard and Wilkinson Freedom. So we are about in planning stages. We are getting ready to release the North Tryon, North Graham playbook. That will be our 5th kind of corridor to start heading towards implementation. We will be back with you all in March, I believe it is, and giving you a full update on all things Sugar Creek and everything going on in the Sugar Creek corridor. We did the Sugar Creek playbook and released that last spring, late spring, early summer. The engagement for that was the couple of years before that. And so I just want to be really clear that March will really serve as the update for all the holistic things going on. But we have an opportunity and a deadline that happens in advance of that March date. So we wanted to make sure that that information was distributed to you all, prior to our deadline. So I will start sharing my screen. Give me just 1 second. Okay. Here we go. You all see that. And I really appreciate, again, y'all squeezing us in, just so you know, we have about, we were doing our magic as much as we could, Aisha and I, to get here to make sure that we could do this. So I'm going to try to make this to the point and give you the information that's important. So the project that we are pursuing a federal grant for is called the Sugar Creek Mobility Corridor, Connecting People to Opportunity. It is a part of the RAISE grant program. The RAISE grant is the federal, it is a transportation federal grant that is really the marquee program for both the FTA, which is the transit projects, and DOT kind of surface, what they call surface transportation projects. So roads, bike lanes, multi-use paths, pedestrian bridges, ports, things of that nature. So obviously our project is focused in the Sugar Creek corridor. What you see here is all of the study area from that Sugar Creek playbook that we wrapped up. And this project connects all of the areas of the Sugar Creek playbook, all the way from down at the Sugar Creek Light Rail Station up to Mallard Creek Road and up to the area in Derita. So the reason this project really kind of came to be was, one, is it was one of the implementation items from the playbook, but two, we really felt like all of the engagement that we had previously done as part of the playbook and the design sprint really focused on how we could create safer pedestrian and cyclist environment, how we could make the transit more effective, how we could do beautification in the corridor, how we could connect people to the services and the places that they wanted to go. And then tangentially, really how that could improve some of the crime and violent crime that occurs really centered just at the intersection of I-85 and Sugar Creek. So again, this is just a review of some of those top priorities from the playbook. I'm not going to dive deep into them because at the heart of it, we are doing things to address all these. We'll go deep into the weeds on that in March, but just know that these top priorities are still kind of at top of the mind when pulling projects that we're now currently putting into implementation. And right now, we really just have a unique opportunity specifically in implementation regarding transportation because of the infrastructure bill and the 5 years of concentrated federal funding for transportation projects. So you're going to see, we've had people say, well, why aren't we pursuing doing XYZ first? Or what about this? And it's not that we don't want to focus on those things, but this is a once in a lifetime really opportunity to get funding for transportation projects that might not otherwise get funded. So we are really trying to jump at that opportunity. And we think that this project, is a good way to do that. So just to review here, this is some of the transportation priorities that we saw from the playbook. So again, really making sure that we have better pedestrian connections, bicycle connections, transit connections, and that we are addressing, again, the things that people wanted to see. So that includes obviously how we address the interchange, which is a little outside of, it's not technically in Derita, but how are we kind of providing a safer connection both from Derita to light rail and through the interchange, and how are we really stabilizing it? So the RACE project is really all about connecting people to jobs, services, and how we build opportunities. So, and that's through transportation improvements. So what we consider the mobility corridor is it goes from the Mallard Creek, Sugar Creek intersection all the way to the light rail, Sugar Creek light rail. The project that we are applying for funding for includes building 3 mobility hubs, which I'll show an image of what a mobility hub is. It's basically the next generation of transit stop, transit center. So a mobility hub links together scooters, bike parking, potentially Uber, Lyft, and bus stops at the intersection of major transit routes to provide, and even potentially like a park and ride, to provide better, faster, quicker access to transit. So this grant application would include a mobility hub at the Mallard Creek, the parking lot at Mallard Creek and Sugar Creek. It would include one at Reagan Drive and Sugar Creek. And then it would include modifications to the Sugar Creek light rail stop so that you would have kind of more sophisticated technology. So what CATS has been working on in tandem to this kind of hard infrastructure project is an app and a way that people can more seamlessly access different modes of transit in their trip. So for example, in the next 2 years, you'll be able to go on your phone and get a scooter that can take you to a mobility hub, that can take you to a bus route, to the train, or into uptown, all with like one ticket purchase, all with one order. And it will do it based on demand. So what is the fastest way for you to get there? So that might mean that you end up using what they call micro mobility, which is, you know, almost like an Uber or Lyft, and that takes you. But so it'll all be connected to get people to where they want to go as quickly as possible. This area, this zone has already been selected as one of the first parts of the city to use that new technology. This project pairs with that. So also included in the project, in the grant application, is a multi-use path that connects from about the intersection all the way to the light rail station. So there are, which I will dive into in March, I was telling Teresa, is we have several other funded transportation projects that we're getting ready to announce that is going to create a seamless connection all the way from Mallard Creek to the Sugar Creek light rail station. So the sidewalk gaps that currently exist are funded. We also have included in that some safe crossings that will also be funded. The third component of the RAISE grant is a modified new bus route that would go directly on 15-minute intervals or less, that would go from the Sugar Creek light rail station up to Mallard Creek. So it would provide that high frequency bus service so that people can get, again, to where they want to go quicker than they currently can. The last component of the grant application are improvements to this North Tryon Sugar Creek intersection. So just making it safer to cross the street here. So these are all the projects that we currently have in development and in design that are leveraged by this project. So again, we have sidewalk gaps that are already funded. We have 3 safe pedestrian crossings funded. The Cross Charlotte Trail down here is already funded. We have a Sugar Creek streetscape that's going in, which is again closer to this transit line. And we have the micro mobility option, which will launch in the corridor. We actually just, if you saw the news, we actually also just found out we have funding for a couple other safe crossings that are at the Eastway and Tryon intersection. And I believe one more, I would have to look, but so lots of things going on in this corridor, lots of things funded. So these are just a couple of examples of what a mobility hub might look like and all of the elements that it might include. As part of the grant, we will have to do further engagement on the specifics around basically like what's included, what are the needs of the community, how do we include that in the design, and what does the finished product look like. So you can see here, this is an example of what the mobility hub at Mallard Creek and Sugar Creek look like. I think a great example of this mobility hub, and it will be similar but with more technology, is what you see if you know where the Rosa Parks Transit Center is on Beatty's Ford. It's a very similar kind of size and scope that this would include. So I'm going to stop there. Oh, just a couple other interesting things about the project is we have a lot of potential partners and partners that have agreed to help and kind of add interesting aspects to it. So we're working closely. Duke Energy is going to we're going to consider this an innovation corridor. So they're going to work with us on some new lighting and some new kind of smart lighting that gets brighter when someone walks by, lighting that later at night gets dimmer unless it's motion censored to go up. It has better usage, so it can kind of tell, it can send a signal when the light bulb is out so that people know to come and change it. So all these kind of new technologies that we will be, if we get this grant, we would be piloting in the corridor. Obviously, we're working on with CMPD on making sure that we include really like the best safety standards in design. Mecklenburg County is a partner on this project. They're giving us land. We're working with them on getting better connections to the rec center. And then we have several social services organizations that are obviously part of it as well. So the grant total is for about $24 million. It's again a big investment in this corridor, and we're really excited about the opportunity. So I'm going to stop there, and if anybody has any quick questions, I think we can take a couple questions. I mean, I want to be really clear that getting the grant is really the start of the project, not the end of the project. Having the funding is really the most important thing to make it real. And there will be, once we get the funding, consultants selected, we'll have tons of engagement around all the components that go in. We've had some conversations, and I want to make sure it's really clear that getting the funding doesn't mean the bulldozers go out the next week and start building it. It's really kind of like the go. That's kind of like the flag that says go, basically.
Great. Thank you, Monica. One question I had, and maybe I can just put it here, was what can we do? I know you had mentioned a letter of support. Is that something that, we've got a few HOA leaders on this call, some of them closer to Sugar Creek than others, but letters of support.
Yeah, we would love letters of support for the project. We're working with our so part of it is political. We're working with our lobbyist and trying to get meetings set up with Alma Adams' office and things of that nature. So, any community support is really, really helpful. So how long will the project take once it begins? A federal project typically takes a few years, so anywhere from 3 to 5 years for it to happen. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there is you have to spend the money by a certain date, which is, I believe, 5 years-ish from the time that you get awarded the funds. So you will see components of the project happen before others. So for example, we would likely change some of the bus route and add in some of the routing before necessarily all the mobility hubs were built. The multi-use path is going to take a little bit longer because we'll have to purchase real estate. So, you'll see some components happen before others.
And the decision for the grant award, when is that? When will we know?
It is typically about 6 months after the application is due. So 6 to 9 months. I'm trying to remember. I think they even say that it's due February 28th. So I would expect by like late summer, we would have an answer. And because we're in the second year of, this is the second year of federal infrastructure funding, our plan is that if we don't get awarded in this round, if we, which I think the city is very excited about this project. This is, we only put forward one project for the whole city for this grant application. And this is our project this is the only project the city is putting forward. We would apply the next round. So what happens is they meet with you. If you don't get it, they meet with you and give you your scorecard back and give you kind of pointers on what things you could modify, or like, oh, you didn't tell enough of a story about this, let's say you didn't tell enough of a story about how it connects to jobs or how it creates equitable outcomes, right? Then you can modify your application and reapply. So our plan would be to reapply, until we secure funding. I feel very good about this project because it checks a lot of the Biden administration boxes that they've been really focused on, which is, using new technology, focusing on climate change, being in a census tract, being in an area that hasn't had as much investment. So it's considered like one of their priorities to invest in what they call like transportation disadvantaged census tracts, which like the whole project is in one. So anyways, I say all that to say, I feel like I'm not promising we'll get it, but I feel like we have a good shot. It's highly competitive, but we have a good shot.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I know you guys need to get out of here and go on to the next thing. So we appreciate you and look forward to having you guys back March 2nd. And we'll have some more, just an overview of the stuff that's been done. So thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
we'll
you guys too.
I was just going to say, we'll send out the slides and a one-pager that kind of has some bullets around this grant. So it can help with, writing letters of support.
Yeah. And let us know if you need some language, because we're helping others like with language and stuff, if that's helpful. But we don't want to have just like one form letter that everybody signs. So, but we can give you kind of talking points like from the neighborhood perspective too.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Bye y'all. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye. Thank you.
Can we get telephone numbers for Monica and Aisha?
Sure.
In
I will
the
put them in the
chat?
chat. Monica, you can jump. I know you have a.
Yeah. Aisha can send it to you.
Thank
She'll
you.
put it in the chat. Thank you guys.
Okay. Thank you. All right. All right, guys. I think we can certainly provide letters about being overlooked for investment, public and private, for many years, but we're going to definitely, anybody on this call, if you can pull together a letter of support, assuming you do support this investment, that would be great. And we'll send out, I do have the slides, but I do think a one-pager would be great, along with, some language on what to include, and especially letters to our representative, Alma Adams. That sounds like something to do as well. So I'm going to move on to the next thing. The agenda looks packed, but really they just represent a slide and a few just a few updates, and then we'll get to some general discussion and neighborhood updates. Everybody can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. I put this on Derita News on Facebook, so it might be old news to some of you, but I was very happy to see, quite by chance, that the county has been busy purchasing land for parks. And excuse me. Got a frog in my throat this morning. Right on Graham Street, at Graham Street and Princess, this is a long kind of problem property that has just been underused and neglected. And the county has purchased this for a park. You can't see on this map too well, but Royal Oaks neighborhood is right here. And then just off the map down at the bottom is that brand new townhome community, 15 Cannon. So along this creek bed, I have to confirm this, but when this belonged to UPS, they were very open to a trail that would connect these neighborhoods, 15 Cannon and Royal Oaks, at least to the walking trails in 15 Cannon and the public space there. But it seems like there's an opportunity to actually allow these neighborhoods to kind of get to this park without getting out on North Graham Street or West Sugar Creek, to just connect through the neighborhood roads. Certainly from Princess and Royal Oaks, that will be very easy. So that is good news. It's undeveloped. It remains to be seen when any kind of development of the park and the design and so on will be funded and move forward. But this is good news. The other piece is in Sugar Springs, which Mark, who's not on our call today, but he had been giving us a heads up about this before. But it's also about a 5-acre, I can't remember the size, I'm sorry, but a little park in Sugar Springs and Dobie Springs over there that will certainly provide a great space for neighbors to do, neighborhood events and things. Nadine, I'm sure you must be excited, and it can connect to your block parties and that kind of thing. Just give more space for stuff like that.
It will, and it'll be much appreciated.
Yeah. And then, of course, the big one, which I have mentioned before, but just wanted to include it here, is this big property. This is 60 some acres off of IBM Drive and Selectron. And that was also purchased as part of this, the county really focusing on trying to catch up on some land purchases to provide parks where we desperately need them. I included a link here, or I will. There's a lot more details on these millions and millions and millions of dollars that Mecklenburg County has received as part of the, I believe this is the American Rescue Act funds. Yeah, there we go. American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. And so there's millions of dollars, and they have allocated them, and they go into great detail. So each of these buckets has a list of, right down to the organization that is receiving funding from this. So I didn't have a chance to go through it to see how much might be Derita, but that's something you guys can check out. How the county is spending taxpayer dollars, federal. This, the UDO, the Unified Development Ordinance, as you know, was passed by the city, and it's going to come into effect in June, but there's a lot of work that's going to go on over the next few years as everybody sort of settles into the new regulations and figures out, where things need to be tweaked or changed or clarified. So they're putting together a new committee, the UDO Advisory Committee. Unfortunately, the deadline is today. It's only 20 members, so there's, you know, it's fairly small considering they want some representation from the community, you know, communities all around. But if you feel moved, the link for the application is here, and you know, we'll definitely get consideration because they want to make sure that areas like Derita are represented on these kinds of committees. Coming up, this is a calendar item for you guys who live in District 2 and for everybody. I mean, most of Derita falls into District 2. That's this area here. So that would include you, Ernie, probably, and just everybody north of Nevin. I think this is Nevin Road, and both sides of Sugar Creek beyond downtown Derita, etc. So you can see here if you're in District 2. Malcolm Graham is holding a town hall on February 18th. It's a Saturday morning. But those are usually good to attend and at least have, you know, some presence from Derita. So Mr. Graham doesn't forget that we're in his district. So mark your calendars and try to get to that. There'll be a lot of city departments there as well. So if you've got concerns about various things, you can bend someone's ear and get some attention. David Oliver sent me this link. Thank you very much. This is a grant program by Lowe's Home Improvement, and the deadline is February 20th, and they're really looking for projects, and it's quite broad. If you click on the link, you can see the kinds of things that have been funded in the past. So if your neighborhood has a little project that, you know, or a wish list or something that you can pull together to present for a grant application, this is a very good opportunity. So same thing, there's just investment dollars, and all these from private to public are working to invest in areas that have been neglected in the past, and we certainly fit that bill. So
Teresa,
yes,
are you gonna click on the actual like projects? You said there's examples of projects.
I can. Tell me if you see that. And I don't know, I don't want to like play their video, but let's see. But yeah, they're from small to big projects. You know, whether it's a mural or a community garden or, you know, beautification, signage, you know, anything like that. But yeah,
and you'll be able
the
to send that out. When will we
Sorry?
be able to get this information?
Yes, yeah, the links in the slides, and you'll be able to explore that and see if there is, you know, something that you guys might want to work on.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Teresa, is this similar? This is Jeffrey Simpson. Is this similar to the neighborhood matching grant?
Yeah, it's a similar idea, except I don't think it has that matching component. It's a straight up grant provided by
I'm thinking it
Lowe's.
might be a little bit of an easier process, or at least I'm hoping so.
So
Yeah.
what it is, Teresa, basically what it is Lowe's has some fun, especially when they had COVID, when they had a lot of people doing a lot more shopping, improve their homes. They start doing the grants. And there you have to fill out an application. And by doing the application, it's throughout, not just here in Charlotte, it's throughout the United States. And they choose projects based on the need or what's necessary for them to be able to supply. They'll supply a lot of supplies. Sometimes with the grant, you can be able to get someone to do particular projects. But then they'll have us as Lowe's employees who will come out and finish or do whatever necessary. Recently, I was with the Hope Haven facility where the homeless, they have what used to be a hotel downtown, and they changed to a homeless building. And they implemented a lot of things. And if you look on the website, you'll see how it's kind of one of the places that's been chosen. I've been a part of, they had the one that was on Bedford Road that was the Ritz. It used to be a movie theater type thing that was an outdoor thing that was on Bedford Road. So it's just an insight so that you can pass it on to other members, but you do have to the 20th to be able to apply. And once you're chosen, as you can see in the reactions from some of the people, they're very happy that they were chosen in terms of that. So it's basically another way of getting grants. If you're not able to get the city grants or in terms of that, this is another thing because Lowe's is a great promoter of doing things within the city. And especially being a North Carolina company, that'll be something that'll be great for us to consider. And I would just kind of pass that information out.
Okay,
Thank you,
David,
David.
let me ask you something. Is this something that, like Sugar Springs, we've been trying for the longest to work on our fencing coming into the neighborhood. Would that be something that's a possibility for them to think about accepting, or would that be too frivolous?
It's whatever you apply, you just do the application, you do a description of what kind of project you're looking to try to do. And if you're chosen, you'll be, it's got to remember, it's a lot of people that's putting in for these things. So you kind of just want to try to sell the project to see it might be one that they can do in terms of that. That's the biggest thing. Cause you know how it is when everybody trying to go for a scholarship or anything, you got to be one of the ones that they're choosing. So they're choosing so many. And like I say, every year, I know I've been a part of a project with Fifth Lowe's within the city. So they have been in Mooresville and Shelby and other places. So that's the biggest thing. So, just make sure you apply.
Okay, thank you.
So what is David, what is the initial mode of contact with them?
It's I'll go back to the website. There is a submit your nomination today. And that if you click on that, I haven't looked at all of this information, but it might be a bit slow for us. But
is it Lowe's 2023 or still on 2022?
It's 2023.
Okay.
And the deadline is February 20th, and then the projects must be completed this year. So yeah, there's a lot more information there, guys. You'll have to go and click through it and see if it's feasible to apply. I know it's not that much time, but if you've been working on something and you kind of know what you need, it could be a great opportunity. Let us know if you are successful and so on. This is just another update. I talked about this last month, but this is big news. This company, Albemarle Corporation, they are establishing a major technology campus right in University City, and really between you and me, it's in Derita, right between IBM Drive and Selectron, kind of next to that park where the county has that big parcel. So lots of good stuff. This will be something that will kind of put Derita on the map in terms of alternative technologies, and especially around energy efficiency, batteries, that kind of thing. So watch for that. The entrance is actually off IBM Drive. It's called the Commons. It's a beautiful campus even now, but it looks like they're going to do some modifications. But it certainly will be a desirable place for people to work and going to bring some pretty decent jobs and investment right on our doorstep. And I've got the links here so you can go and read the whole article and get more information. This is just a snapshot. Rezonings, we did have some rezonings approved in January. These two, I think, certainly this one you guys will know we've been talking about at 115 and Gibbon Road. That one was approved. The link is here. This is actually the link to the decision and recommendations by the zoning committee, and I believe it was unanimous. So that has been approved, and there's a long list of improvements that the developer is responsible for that are going to be very good for us in Derita and along Gibbon Road, with connections to the parks as well as multi-use paths along Gibbon and along Old Statesville Road. So there's a lot of detail there. Check that out. This little one I don't know too much about offhand, but it was a small rezoning in terms of a minor change in the land use, so I didn't cover it that much. But those were approved. And then we've got a couple of new ones. This one is not new. We've talked about before. Hopefully Malcolm Graham can give us some information. I think he would know. This is the rezoning. There's not a lot of information on the city site yet, except that it is converting 2 existing motels to housing, which sounds like a good idea to me. But I am interested, in more details. Just there's nothing yet on that. And then
I will say, I hope they're planning on tearing that down and building something new and not just converting that to be apartments, because those buildings are ancient and a bit scary, to be honest.
I'm not sure. Yeah. The way I read it sounds like they're converting the buildings, but I could be very wrong on that. It may be just converting from a motel use to a permanent housing use, and hopefully, yeah, I'm with you. Let's not renovate the cheap motels, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that one. There's not a lot of information about it. I will dig around again, and if anybody else finds anything, please let me know, because it seems like it's a fairly innovative thing. I'm sure it's been done everywhere else, but maybe a first for Derita. Definitely a first for Derita. I don't know if it's been done elsewhere in Charlotte. And then we have 2 fairly big parcels again that are subject to rezoning. This one is off Gibbon Road, 39 acres. I can probably click on this. Is this the locator map? Yeah, I'll show you kind of where that is, but it's a parcel back here, right at the end of Easy Street. Sounds like a good address. And okay, here's more context. You can see where Old Statesville Road is. So the site of that the rezoning that was just approved is kind of roughly over here. And this is the site of this new rezoning, I believe, for townhomes, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, there was a community meeting held on January 18th. And if you don't know, you can go back. These things are recorded. I think that one is recorded, but at least the notes and the presentation and stuff is all on the city's website, so you can see what the developer is planning over there. And then this 17 acres, this is more in university area, but another parcel that is going to be developed. You know, all this vacant land is slowly being developed. This is in the research, innovation park is kind of on this side of IBM Drive. And this is the new bridge over 85 that takes you past the marshals and so on, and the schools over there. I don't know if I often come back this way from my office. This is my back way that avoids freeways and other craziness. So that parcel there, and it's going to include a lot of greenway connections. All these creeks have potential for adding greenway, because a lot of them already have a sewer easement, a sewer line or plans. So, you know, there's already some kind of public ownership of land, or if it's not, then the developer gives that, you know, donates that for greenway connections. Let's see. Revaluations, I just keep the slide in because I don't know about anybody else. I don't think I've received a notice yet about our new property values. It's going to be shocking when you see it, because our property values in Derita especially went up about 60% from 2019. Our actual, what people sold their properties for, went up by that huge amount, and it remains to be seen, you know, what tax rate the county and the city will set. That will determine your new tax bill, but watch out for that. And as always, give me a call if you have any questions about that when you do receive your revaluation, but your eyes will not be deceiving you. It's the values Derita has pretty much come close to catching up to the rest of Charlotte in terms of our property values. So you will see that reflected.
I gotta say, that's a good thing finally, because the property values affect everybody else's impression of what to do for the city and for why to move into this area or invest into the area. And our low property values have actually been a problem for a long time, I think.
Right. Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse. I always tell people it's kind of like your shares in Charlotte and Mecklenburg County. That's what that value really represents, is your number of shares. And yeah, that does translate to other things. So watch for those letters. They should be coming out anytime if they haven't already. I don't think I've received one yet, but we'll keep an eye on that. The reason I bring the slide up is so that you all don't have heart attacks when you see your new value. It doesn't mean that your taxes are going to go up, you know, at the same rate. So we have to wait to see what the millage rate, what millage rate is set. Taxes will go up, but not by 61% or whatever the property values increased by. And yeah, quickly, sorry, we're almost at 10 o'clock. So we can take as much time as we need, but anybody got updates? I'll just tell you the two quick things that I've been hearing a lot of rumblings about, and then Ernest will be the third, actually, which I didn't put on my slide, but lots of people are talking about the high rate of serious looking wrecks at North Graham and West Sugar Creek. So we're aware of that, and people talking about that. That's a CDOT and NCDOT, you know, the road design is NCDOT, and they just come in and engineer this great big road, and then we're left to, CMPD is supposed to enforce, and the residents are just live with the ridiculous design of the road. I don't know what can be done, but we're aware of that. So that's something we're gonna have to keep bringing up as a squeaky wheel. And then the junkyard across from the school on West Sugar Creek. There've been lots of violations and lots of fines assessed. Working on that, pretty sure they're in violation of what they're allowed to do over there by operating a junkyard. They don't have a building. Pretty sure that their rezoning does not allow that use, but you know, working on it. And then Ernest, you want to talk about Nevin Park and stuff? I'm assuming that's why you're here. We've missed you. I'm glad you're back.
Well, I'm not here just for that. It's past time for me to be able to be active again. And I just had a lot of focus on moving personal business and stuff forward for a while. But for the last several years, I've been trying to represent the interests of the community toward Nevin Park and the literal shredding of the park by the disc golf community and the disc golf course. It's become an even worse problem because in particular, there's a large grove of trees that was protected when the park was built. It happens to be along Keith Drive. And so I see it all the time, every day. The biggest problems are resulting from the disc golf in the fact that this area used to be reserved for general use for everybody to be able to play in the field and relax in the shade. And now the disc golf community has chased out anyone that plays horseshoes, anybody that plays hacky sack, anybody that plays frisbee, anybody that does football training, anybody that does anything non-organized. In addition, the trees are in massive decline right now from being hacked at. So I've done my best to work with park staff for the last 3 to 4 years and 10 years really technically, and just been ignored. And this past year, it came to a really big problem because they violated the basic regulations for getting community approval for a large event, had a cash prize of over $70,000 that was given away in front of Eva Edwards' house to 600 screaming fans. Eva told me she felt trapped in her home for the entire week and a half because you had high-powered TV cameras live streaming the event around the world, pointed at our homes, etc. But now that attention has brought even more players to the course, and I sit here and watch these trees get hit by what are essentially circular saw blades about 100 times, 200 times a day on a nice day. So these trees will be dead within 3 years if this continues, and no longer providing shade, no longer providing a respite, no longer providing a place for people to experience nature. In addition to that, we've watched and documented in the budget where the disc golf community has siphoned over $250,000 from the park system that should have been used to repair the playgrounds that our kids have played on. A good example is the slide on the playground over here at Nevin Park was broken and taped off for 3 years. And instead, the disc golf community got concrete pads for playing their games. They got to control more of the park, and the park personnel have done nothing about complaints. Even when I was sitting on the board of Nevin Park, of Nevin Community Organization, they just ignored everything that we said. So I'm not sure what the next stage is, but it definitely has to involve more people if we're going to protect this asset. Like 30 years ago, we protected this park so that it would be a long-term asset to the community. And right now, I'm telling you, the majority of people that come to play on this course are from outside of the zip code, outside of the district. They come in with packs that have like $1,000, $1,500 worth of disc golf equipment in their pack, in their strollers, and have continued to shred. I'm very positive that they have encroached into the ribbon walk side of the border also. And again, the park personnel just do nothing about it. So having tried to work through this in channels and been perceived as an individual, it's time that we really, we look at the presentation from the large grant, and one of their main things was protect tree canopy. The city of Charlotte this past year passed a tree protection ordinance. And in addition to that, if our park resources aren't something that we're trying to protect for generations, what do we care about tree counts on private property? So this is something that, again, has to be a focus for the community if we're going to protect this resource. And if we're going to really make sure that this is something that lives up to the name Nevin Community Park, we've got to start protecting it. And somehow we have to give our rangers the support that they need to do their jobs in the park. I've got a video from 3 days ago of disc golfers flat out ignoring the rangers' calls that the park is closed and it's time for them to leave at dusk. You can see them turn around and ignore her as they continue to play the course. So this is a major issue. It's a law enforcement issue. It's not just a community damage or impact on the parks issue. And I hope that we can get some momentum behind this and try to protect this resource, y'all.
Thank you, Ernest. Anybody else got anything, any update or concerns or successes from your part of Derita?
Yes, I just put in information for getting 4 free COVID tests from the government. I believe in May, there's going to be information saying that the pandemic is basically over, but no, it is not. You still need to use your mask when you go out, wash your hands, that sort of stuff. With the pandemic being stated that it's over, there are going to be less funds out there. So it might be a situation where sooner or later, a lot of people are going to be paying $29 and $30 for these COVID tests if they so desire to have them.
Okay, thank you, Nadine. Anybody else got anything? Yeah, thank you, Ernest. I would like to, and maybe we can set up a time more people might like to join. I would like to actually walk the area and see what it is that you're observing over there as well. I do walk in Ribbon Walk almost every day. And the creek is a significant barrier and kind of boundary between Ribbon Walk and Nevin Park. So
they actually built a retaining wall with railroad ties against the creek bed so that they could have a longer throw distance for the disc golf course. And it's
not a park that
tragic.
I see.
It's actually tragic when you walk the course. There's a 40 to 60 foot wide swath of forest that is dead to the dirt.
Wow.
And it literally looks like somebody walked through with a chainsaw and just hacked at the side of trees. That's what it looks like. And
yeah, I would like to see that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll be in touch, and if anybody else wants to join, there's Ernest and Misty's emails, and let's go and have a look. I didn't realize just how destructive that is. I know that the county has had a goal of getting, more people to use these large county facilities. I mean, that is Nevin Community Park, but it is 400 acres. It's not just intended for, their desire is for the whole of Mecklenburg to enjoy these things. But this sounds like an unintended consequence of a use.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Teresa, real quick, one quick question. I'm on another committee that did this one time. Unfortunately, I'm not able to identify, the areas that a lot of times we're talking about, like when Ernest talking about and all these different areas you're talking about. The committee actually set up a bus ride for the people on the committee, like this committee, DSRCO. I don't know what it takes, is there a way to maybe at one of these meetings, this in-person meetings that you're talking about, we can take a bus ride through our Derita area so that when we're able to speak on the things that we're talking about, we can actually identify what the things that we're talking about?
Yeah, not a bad idea. I do like that idea. I just I pulled up the Google map, which whatever choice I made here for the base map doesn't actually show the parks that we're talking about. But let me see, that's Griffith Lakes.
Yeah,
So
Teresa,
here,
I think some of the councilmen that did it one time before. They were showing on the news when some of them rode the bus for some situation. I can't
yes,
remember all the details, but they rode it just to kind of show
yeah.
that's impact of what the bus routes are. I think it was like a promotional thing or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have driven like our code enforcement people and some of the city staff, because a lot of people just don't, a lot of the city staff, they live over in Chantilly and, Plaza Midwood, and they don't even know our part of town. So I have done that. I have given people from the city tours and shown them on the ground areas. But this, I think, if I understand Jeff correctly, is something that we do for our group, maybe somehow get together with a big passenger van of some kind. I don't know. There's a lot of logistics involved to check out some of these areas, but I do think it's a good idea. We'll try to figure out how we could pull that off.
I know Ike's dad, when he, like many years ago, I know Ike's dad many years ago when he was on the board with Dry to Statesville organization. That's what he used to do with town council members and a couple other things. They used to get like a school bus and put everybody like in a school bus and drive around the area and point out to the council members and to other people and like the homeowners associations popping up around here like, hey, this is the community, this is what's going on, and stuff like that. I know they used to do that.
Sounds like a great
they
idea.
used to pile in a big old school bus.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
he talked about.
Yeah, well, thanks for that. We'll try to think about that, because maybe that might be an idea for one of our in-person events this year, maybe in the summer.
Maybe a
to
church
try to
has a
figure it
school
out.
bus we can rent out.
Maybe.
You know? Maybe a church in the area has a school bus as transportation that you can rent out, or
yeah,
or a church has a passenger van that you can rent out.
yes, yeah,
You know, maybe a church in the area would be willing to help solve that problem for us.
yeah, great idea. Thank you. I will we've got great connections with Derita Press. I don't know if they have a and of course, Eva is a prominent member, so that's
Yeah, you have Ebenezer and a couple other churches in that area too.
yeah, I know they have
maybe they do
buses. Yeah.
But Teresa, also just check with the council member, because when they got the bus, I think they probably just talked with the city, the CAT system, and they probably had one of their vans or buses to get everybody on and just ride that route on that given day. Because I can't remember the older Miss Leak. I think Miss Leak was one of the main ones, and some other councilmen went together and they drove around on the bus routes in terms of certain thing on one given day or something. So that might be something you can talk to Mr. Graham about in terms of, getting an understanding what we're looking for.
Right. Yeah, that's a great idea. It would have to be something like a church, just a smaller passenger van of some kind, because we want to be going over all these railroad tracks and so on that are obstacles to bigger vehicles. But yeah, that's a great idea. Anybody want to try to take the lead on that? Thinking you know, we've got a meeting in March, obviously not then, but the next one would be June, early June. I can set up the route and stuff, you know, I'm used to giving tours of the area as a realtor, so that piece I can do, and you know, we want to make sure that we kind of do a sensible circuit around and hit all the assets as well as, you know, the problem areas, because you know me, I don't want to always focus on the negatives. So everybody can see, this is the Google map, which shows just really all the activity around the construction, the rezonings. These green ones are rezonings approved. If they're orange, they're pending. So you can kind of see, you know, just where all the activity is in the Derita area. Anybody else got anything to add or include?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
I can certainly consider Derita as part of the University City area. And myself and my significant other attended a public meeting to field questions about the new University City Public Library. And we attended that. It was extremely well attended, and they fielded again a lot of questions about that facility, which is going to be pretty impressive. So if anybody has any questions about, you know, what was related in that meeting, it was a really, really good meeting. I think the primary concern was if there would, for the new facility, if there really and truly would be adequate parking. That's tends to be a problem in any area, you know, where you have something like a library. And I've always been quite honestly of the opinion there should be some sort of mini transit system that takes people from, say, the Derita area to the public library, the hospital, the campus, these kinds of big public facilities that people genuinely want to have access to. And I'm not talking about, you know, people say, well, you can go by light rail. We don't take the light rail from Derita to University City. So anyway, this was an interesting meeting, and that facility is going to be something. If you don't know, it will essentially, its footprint will essentially be where the old Office Depot was. And they've extended some of the land area next to the lake. So there's a lot going on over there if you haven't observed. I don't think that everybody is particularly happy about the huge apartment complexes that have gone up. I think a lot of people envisioned something more like Birkdale Village, and that's not going to happen. It's just going to be living areas, which are, you know, I don't know how well they accommodate people's view of what that lake area and all. It's not the destination place that it once was. So anyway, just a few comments to make.
Thank you, Mel. Yeah, that it's a whole mixed use over there. Yes, the first component is the apartments, but there will be a whole lot of retail and entertainment, restaurants. It is going to be a destination and more like a main street of a small town. That's the vision.
That's the hope, and it's the vision, but to, you know, what extent it comes true, it's kind of a question mark.
Well, yeah, and these things take a very long time, you know, so, but yeah, if you, I would like to invite Toby Holmes from University Center Partners to come and present to us sometime. He came to my office and just presented all the changes that are happening over there, and yeah, it's not going to happen overnight, but there are major changes underway. And the key thing with the commercial stuff over there is that something that has changed in recently, and probably because of COVID, because nobody quite knows where the commercial real estate is going to land, because there was so much change, so much, huge corporations are reducing their office space. Retail is, undergone a huge change. But at the same time, there's this big drive for places to meet and people to actually congregate and get together. So the thing that has changed with commercial real estate is that they don't just spec build something, they try to confirm tenants first. So all that commercial stuff coming over there is sort of reliant on getting those tenants confirmed. So, the library is a big piece of that. And that was a big advocacy move by University City Partners and the community to get that library there. And so I don't know what other commercial leases they've got confirmed for some of those parcels, but it will come. I'm getting a bit old now. I don't know in my lifetime, but I think in the next 5 years we're going to see a major transformation over there, and it will be a destination. And the good thing, if this RAISE grant is approved and we have a mobility hub in downtown Derita. Now, at the moment, it would connect directly, just along West Sugar Creek, which is great. It could take you to the light rail, but it would make sense, since we have such good roads, to have small buses going from there to the library, as you say, to that whole lake area, which is going to be a lovely destination. To the Mecklenburg County, to their brand new rec center. The East Mecklenburg Rec Center is probably the closest to us, but there's also one in the north, which is a fantastic facility. And if everybody didn't have to drive there, you wouldn't have to worry about parking. So those are the ideas that are slowly coming to fruition. And I guess we have to be patient and be grateful for the little things as they do get accomplished. But thank you for that. That will be great to have that library there. I've never liked the location of that library. I feel like I take my life into my hands every time to try to turn in over there. Anyone else? I've got 10:22. We probably should start wrapping up. If nobody's got anything to add, please mark your calendars for March 2nd. That will be in person at Derita Presbyterian. So far we have the Sugar Creek corridor update confirmed. I am wanting to get CMPD and CDOT out there as well. Just because those concerns are ones that always come up. Trying to get to the screen with the dates. Yeah, we'll look forward to an in-person meeting. That'll be the first in several years, and I would hope that you guys will forward the invitation. It'll kind of be, everybody is invited, and hopefully we'll get a pretty decent crowd. They say when you're trying to get people together, you either get them together for a party or you get them together to complain. And so we're going to try to do a little bit of both, because we definitely have things to celebrate, but you know, there are obviously some other issues that we need to make sure we keep bringing up to our elected officials. I do hope to confirm several of them as well for that meeting, so I will keep you updated on that. And if anybody's got any other ideas about who we should try to include, let me know. If nobody's got anything else to add, I'm going to stop the recording if I